am an actor, author, speaker.
Awesome, I'm a woman that does it all.
Yeah.
All right, so today we are doing the meet and greet for your book, Embracing Me, a Memoir.
Yes.
Now talk to us about the book. What inspired you to write your book?
I decided to write my book, Embracing Me, because I got to a place where there were certain parts of my life that I feel like I fully embraced, and I was ready to share it freely, without shame, without any guilt, because I understand the power of story, especially from a Latina, our point of view, and I knew that some of the things I experienced would absolutely encourage and hopefully help someone, and it was just a beautiful process to write it.
Now, we see that you're an advocate for intimate violence, domestic violence.
Right.
Talk to us about, your journey there.
I'm an advocate for domestic violence, intimate partner violence, because I myself am a survivor. I was in a very physical and emotional abusive relationship from the age of about 16 to 19 and a half. And it was a very tough time in my life, especially being so young and being afraid to talk about it. But I knew that I could not remain in this relationship that was very toxic, to the point where I thought my life would end. And so when you get to that place of realizing, my goodness, if I continue like this, I probably won't make it out. But if I make this decision to leave, which is scary to do and to make, but when I did make it, I felt this freedom, and I said, if I have the opportunity to speak to whomever about what I went through, then I will do that. And that's been the last, close to almost 20 years of my life, of being an advocate, of speaking up, talking about it in my book, Embracing Me.
Gotcha. Now, speaking about it, a lot of people, they feel the need to just keep it in. Mm-hmm. And it's not something typical you talk to someone about until you're completely out of that relationship. Now, hoping to share that story in Embracing Me and going out to speak and have all these talks with the community members, how do you hope that changes the stigma of people saying, let me just keep that to myself, let me seek help?
I think the goal is breaking the stigma. Especially in the Latinx culture, we don't talk about things, don't talk about Bruno and Encanto. It's like that, something is happening, but we don't want to talk about it because there's so much shame, there's so much guilt, there's so much fear. And if I don't really talk about it, I don't really need to acknowledge that it's happening. And so once you begin sharing your journey, you really understand how many people are suffering in silence. And that's the biggest thing that abuse does. It silences your voice. So my whole thing is I understand the power of my voice, and that's what I want to encourage others to understand, the power of their voices as well.
I was listening to the podcast with JR, and you were saying that you weren't able to fully explain yourself to your family.
Right.
And so now you're a mother of two beautiful girls.
Yes.
And so you're paying attention more to those signs. Now, mm-hmm. As a parent, as a person that's been through that experience, what are some signs that you want people to keep an eye out whenever you see those kind of relationships start to build up?
Oh, that's a great question. Some of the signs, if you feel like you know your child and you notice that maybe their physical features begin to change, meaning how they dress, how they do their hair. We tend to, communicate how we feel through our makeup, through what we wear. If that changes, if you see that their personality all of a sudden begins to change, or their grades, where they become, when they're around this person that they're intimate with or they're dating, you notice that maybe they don't act like themselves. These are really good signs, and it's important that we pay attention to those. I mean, there's so many others, but for me, those were some of the things that I experienced that my parents missed. With my grades going down, and I was an A+ student. I'm a very outgoing person, and I became very isolated and quiet. And so those are some of the things that parents should look out for.